values that are appropriate. But what do you foresee?
Well, wait a
in terms
minute.
of higher
I'm
education?
curious.
Yes,
Is that here in Tampa?
it's in St. Pete, across the
It's in St. Pete. And they're public schools or private
private
schools?
schools,
Uh-huh. And are they private secular or private religious?
religious.
And they're Christian, I presume?
Yes.
So they're actually really Christian?
Mhm.
Because half the Christian schools are as woke as public schools.
Oh, I'm already worried my school could go the other way. His school I'm not worried about.
Mine's a very conservative, Keswick Christians, very
Very,
conservative.
so it's the closer they hold on to their Christian values, the closer they seem to stay with my values, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Which is interesting. I'm not even Christian, but my
Well,
my-
I'm a Jew, and if I had the choice of public school or a Christian school, a real Christian, I would send them to a real Christian school.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I have infinitely more in common with Christians than I do with secular Jews.
Yes. So my question to you though is, what do you foresee in terms of higher for our kids? It's one thing to say, hey, we need to consider homeschooling. We need to try to develop our children away from the public schools. Do you see any hope for higher education?
What was the first part of that? Before, do I see hope for higher education?
Well, you've spoken about the need to consider homeschooling your children, or
Yeah.
to at least keep them in a school situation
Right,
where
yeah.
it's more in line with your values. And I feel like I can do that when they're
Until
young.
college.
Yes.
Okay.
What do you see as the future
Okay,
for higher
no, no.
education?
The colleges are lost.
And how do we get our kids prepared
Well,
for a job?
okay, so.
question.
So a very interesting thing is happening. First of all, if they're not in STEM, science, technology, engineering, or math, or I guess theoretically law, there is really no need for college as a general statement. What are they going to major in? Anything they major in the so-called liberal arts or social sciences is a fraud. You know, in the English department at Ivy League University of Pennsylvania, they took down Shakespeare's mural because he's white and European and male. So it gives you an idea that there's no commitment to English literature at the English department of the University of Pennsylvania. I mean, it's frightening. So that's number one. Number two, it is possible, though there's no guarantee, that you can inoculate them with a really solid foundation before they go to college. And one of the best ways to ensure of that is don't let them go to college the year after high school. The ideal, in my opinion, is for them to be a waiter or waitress for a year. And learn how to smile when they feel moody, and to learn how to deal with people, to understand what it means to make a dollar. And the worst possible thing for most kids is to go to college right after high school. I ran an institute in California for 7 years for kids 18 to 25. It was a Jewish institute to offer them Judaism, which few of them had been given as kids. So the parents often bribed them to go for good reason. So I don't know how you raise kids without bribery. Anyway, the easiest group to influence are kids in the 19, 20, 21. They're in other words, they're bright enough to understand what you're saying and malleable enough, and I don't say that as a bad thing, to be deeply influenced by the adult in front of them. So I was happy for that because I was giving them what I consider beautiful values. But if you go straight to college from high school, you are playing with fire with your child's mind and soul and intellect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I went to a Bible
Yeah.
college right after high school.
So last question is from the person in the group here. I'm a student of Jewish history. I'm a lifelong learner, BA from Brandeis. As we both know, the Jews have been guests in so many countries around the world. Some guest stays have been short and painful experiences, other long and prosperous. I heard Rabbi Beryl Wein note that the Great Shiva Sura operated for more than 800 years. But like most guest visitor experiences, all good things come to an end, some endings being more difficult than others. The question is, given the growth in anti-Semitism in the U.S. from the right, and even more concerning from the left, do you think the American Jewish experience is coming to a close? And how should the Jewish community address what is becoming an existential threat?
I am concerned. I'm not as worried as the writer, but I am concerned for the first time, because this has been the great blessing to Jews, America. As the Judeo-Christian ethic dies, Jew hatred rises. The people on the right who are anti-Semitic are not true to, if they're Christian, they're not true to Christianity. They're a disgrace to Christianity. I mean, they would hate Jesus, who was a proud Jew. So it's a very sad development. But when societies crumble, Jews are the canary in the mine.
Yeah, for sure.
They're the first, but they're not the last to get hurt. And the non-Jew who doesn't know that is an idiot. Who thinks, oh, it's only going to hurt the Jews. Because the West dismissed Nazism as a Jewish problem, they ended up with about 30 million dead non-Jews. Forget the Holocaust, non-Jews. So you truly have to be an ignoramus regarding history, not to mention a bad soul, to be anti-Semitic. I'm not asking people to like Jews. I don't care if people like me as a Jew. I don't like a lot of Jews, but I'm not an anti-Semite. You don't have this notion that, well, let's find out, do you really like group X? I don't like any group. I like a massive number of individuals. Name me, what group should I like? Every group has been hurt terribly morally in the recent past. I mean, I have a predilection, I'll be honest. I'm a big fan of evangelical Christians. I'm a big fan of Mormons. I'm a big fan of Orthodox Jews, of traditional Catholics. That's true. But listen, the number of Christian schools that have gone woke, and evangelical included, is very scary. So the question about the Jews is the tip of the iceberg. If a person is true to American values and Judeo-Christian values, there won't be an anti-Semite, by definition. So I still believe that if we take the American Trinity seriously, e pluribus unum, from many one, united through as Americans, and liberty, and in God we trust, our future is secure. You can't drop any one of them. I tell this to secular conservatives all the time. These are terrific people, but they're terribly naive. They think that liberty can survive the death of In God We Trust. The founders knew otherwise. All right, I guess we'll go now.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.